I never imagined that a humming appliance needing repair could turn into the most profound experience of my life. Afternoon light lay long across my table, kind and patient as I chose a fresh cloth for my hands. The room was steady with the gentle scent of chamomile tea. From the street came the ordinary rhythm of slow-passing cars, as if waiting was simply what we all did. This unexpected tenderness held the promise that something unforgettable happened. I was 71, and for 5 years I had lived alone, my beloved husband at rest, my own days careful and measured. His absence had taught me to lean into solitude with respect, keeping small discipline in shelves lined orderly, in meals planned, in windows polished that I might remember light. Yet loneliness returned quietly, a companion to which some doors inside me never fully adjusted. The microwave grew troubled, its dimmed panel a newly anxious presence, disrupting an unspoken promise of my home. The repair felt beyond my grasp, a turning from my steadfast hands toward a wider world. As I adjusted lamps, rounds of steam rose from my teacup, and the floorboards creaked their old music beneath me. Alone I considered my limitations, then wrote the number carefully, appreciating patience, competence, and repair. When my voice steadied enough to ask for help, I opened my door. He arrived in the middle hour when afternoon eased forward into softening air, a man of 63, calm in step and deliberate, his competence unhurried. Hands steady with years of practiced skill let tools rest in his leather bag as if each object had a dignity. The warmth in his eyes, attentive and thoughtful, held a surprising kindness without familiarity. My rooms welcomed him in their measured way, and I showed him where to place his work with care. We spoke briefly of my appliance, of service and schedule, of how untroubled repairs ought to be. Then, as he set down his burden and considered the problem, I found in his presence a gentle connection that I did not expect. He began his task with steady grace while I remained nearby, soothed by my own role in tending to a world for two. Metal clicked softly. Small vibrations traveled through the counter where time itself seemed to listen. The smell of clean oil mingled with warmth and hints of my tea, enclosing us as if the house held its breath. My breathing softened, too, anticipating nothing yet alert to a comfort long absent. I washed a delicate plate, and its pale curve drew my attention more closely than necessary. I straightened a frame, making order from quiet hands, because my mind sought refuge where order lived. His breathing came near and deliberate, witness to work, and I moved more than once toward him with a simple curiosity, shy as it was brave in the hush of companionship. A pause rose naturally when the casing opened, and our words returned without strain as we resumed themselves around the completion he handled. We spoke of the weather, of neighborhood history, and of how seasons have gradually changed our streets. His voice gathered a slower respect as he asked if I had lived many years in this place, and I answered honestly, pleased to be understood beyond polite call. I spoke of my husband, of memory cherished, of how I kept the treasured small ways of love alive through my daily living. In return, he offered a quiet fact of his own. Marriage ended when ambition parted hearts, children building lives of their own, leaving him grateful yet private under the long stretch of his days. Then, when he remarked that care is its own kind of thread stitching pieces back, the plain surface of his sentence carried a double meaning, and my thoughts turned inward at once, held by its unexpected repair. I paused, tenderly hearing a life-changing humility. Rain hushed at the window, threading its silver needle down glass, as if enclosing us yet further in gentle thoughts. He saw a second issue, a worn socket, and offered repair with no hurry, respecting both the promise of service and the calm pace I kept. I offered tea again, and then a bowl of soup he accepted gracefully, a small diplomacy of warmth shared between neighbors. At my table we settled where light pooled kindly, letting mutual disclosure gather through a patience older than urgency. The soup steamed, time felt longer because our being together was chosen, and it felt shorter because presence makes all things more bright. Neither of us consulted clocks save for the house's gentle music and our own steady measure, because companionship itself became the discreet rightness of the afternoon. My grief I laid beside his with a clear care, not for pity but for truth, for how presence endures when love is gone yet never vanishes wholly. I spoke of years where routine sustained me after sorrow, where evenings fell deep and my heart reached quietly, held under a hard-earned respect for tenderness. He mirrored me, honest about his own simplification, about being prepared yet wanting more than solitary rooms, longing for human warmth in its true amplitude. In each careful phrase, we deepened recognition of loneliness meeting loneliness, as though language itself could re-enter a place it had long avoided since loss. Our words grew softer, yielding to a stillness together, where both of us could feel our shared understanding and a readiness for contemplative repair, delicate and long desired, becoming clearly possible. When he reached for my hand with a gentle purpose and held it briefly, my breath found a new grace, tender and well-sheltered within this life-changing closeness. The warmth was certain yet demure, a steady acknowledgement more than any assertion, and my small fingers leaned into kindness without resistance. Later, as the natural course of our revived regard steadied itself into third and fourth visits, an unhurried kiss arrived, thoughtful, deliberate, and sincere. In that moment, all my days of measured comfort opened to an unexpected, profound sense of being seen. Nothing was claimed beyond respect. All was quietly offered, and all was quietly received, as I absorbed that it was enough to be held with such warm understanding. At length he set his tools in order, and we reviewed a return visit, a springtime plan where new tomato plants would stand proudly along my fence and his hands would again prove capable. I watched him go with hope gathered near my heart, hearing the door click softly into its place when he passed into the street. The repaired object had resumed its trusted work, and within my rooms I felt a deeper repair, too, patient and continuous. I set my cup down in the center of that restored calm, and my thoughts traveled gently toward you. It is never too late to feel seen. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and write in the comments which city you are listening from. It means a great deal to us.